Good morning. Eh, Well, thought it would gap up this morning. And it was lower. It's coming off of that low here. Well, it is gapping up a little bit now. You can see where it was earlier. Down here was a little gap down. So it's coming off the lows here and looking for this to come up toward these converging moving averages where sellers should show up, which is the middle of the range. So moving averages we use as what we call visual aids. And it's lined up, as I said, the middle of all of this congestion area there. Now, you can see on the 65-minute, that's minor resistance. Just looking where that is. Well, minor resistance is a little subjective when I look at it because, we look at it, we call it a resistance area, which means there's going to be sellers there. Granted. However, when it happens like this, and you've got this sharp descent creating this void area, there is the potential for it to go through that. Because when it comes down like that, it leaves little to no resistance, and that's really not all that significant. And let's clean it up. And so let's see where that is on the 65. Well, it is lined up with the 65-minute, that minor resistance area and these overlapping bars. But we'll see how it deals with that. But coming from down here, and it did break all of these lows, it violated this uptrend. It moved to an uptrend and then back down to a sideways trend. Another whipsaw example that we've covered. So as it comes up here, we can anticipate that's where sellers would be. We'll see if it can get there today. It would make most sense that that's where it would begin to make a turn if that's going to happen. I'm looking for that to continue to move higher. And we'll see these beaten down stocks. You can see this is the software ETF where it got in climactic with Bitcoin and things were falling and it's come up a little bit. So again, the way it fell doesn't have much resistance. We'll see if those stocks can continue to move up and rebound. IWM, we're not moving all that much. Very little resistance. It cleared these pivots on the 65 minutes, so that has potential to continue to move up, maybe to new all-time highs. We'll see how that reacts today. Just not doing much of anything. It just retested the overnight low and just came off of that. Let's look at spiders. So they're at the top of the range. And, based on yesterday and the prior day's price action, initially I was thinking, well, if it gaps up, could be a gap and sell or gap and crap scenario, especially if it would have gapped up above the previous high. That would have been a significant gap higher. So we can see that's not happening. It's coming off of the low. It's into this congestion, which would suggest that either choppy price action. We'll see if it can make the next attempt up. Um, just want to see this, how it looks like here. So at the end of the day, you can see here from about 11, 12 o'clock, markets went nowhere yesterday. Just chopped around and chopped around. And now it's just opening up in the middle of that range. So when we look at a daily bar and we look at how it formed intraday, it gives us some insight as to the probability of where it might go. Now, if this had a larger area to a resistance, that would have been better. Um, but in any event, sideways for a few hours, if it can get through that, that would suggest it's going to go higher, maybe new all-time highs. Again, looking at this, down below, maybe it retests this area down here. So it's got a little tiny little intraday void inside of yesterday's range. We'll see if that holds up. SPX, nothing was touched yesterday. and most days it isn't. And so this moved up, I think about 40 or 50 strikes from where it was yesterday. This didn't move up very much, but it's up above 7,000. So, that's good. 110 points, average true range. So it could get there. Um, Again, down below, economic news is out. We got yesterday's low as support. You can see my cursor down there on the 15-minute. Let's look at the 65. Um, Yesterday's lows got to be there. Yep. So top of the range, probably going to stay. Well, what it should do is actually stay, give or take, uh, ideally above 69.50 from the bullish case. Breaking below 69.50 opens up the door to testing yesterday's low. But still bullish, looking for it to go higher. And let's look at the Dow, see where the diamonds are at. We'll look at the futures. So this is setting up what we call, is what we call a 1, 2, 3. Wide range bar breakout. Yesterday, it went nowhere, a little bit above the high, and then just consolidated. This doesn't trade that much pre-market, but it's not moving. It's right there. And it's got no overhead resistances. It made new all-time highs. So that could go higher. You got a setup that suggests it's going to go higher. So power bar, resting day, and then up. Let's see what the futures look like. So just kind of whipping back and forth a little bit there. So consolidation and new all-time highs. Now, we always look at both sides of possibilities, and a break below that opens up the door to the void below. So we need some confirmation. What we would look for, right, would be, if that's going to happen, would be something like this. Wide range down bar. Now, it likely would hold, or there would be an attempt to hold there. And then any kind of a retest or bearish 1, 2, 3 could open up the door into the void below. So not expecting that, but because the charts don't support that as a bias, the bias is bullish. That long consolidation, whipping back and forth, and then the pop higher as everything turned up last week. Let's see what Bitcoin is doing this morning. So there was the reversal. There was the panic sell off, and then the overnight move down to 60,000 and the reversal. It hasn't done much of anything. So what to look for today? Well, from the bullish point of view, it should not go back down here, but we'll see. And you see the move up. Another consolidation or a bottoming tail bar, if that was to form today, where coming here and a green bar, tail, obviously bottoming tail on the low, that would point us to a long bias for this to move up toward 75,000, maybe a little bit more. Right now, it's just consolidating, doing nothing. Look at Ethereum, probably going to be the same. As you can see, it is. And do we get a retest sideways? Leave it alone for now. We'll see what it forms today. Just those comments. Yeah, the retail sales came in, but the markets came off at a low after the little dip. Still buying the dip there. What's gold doing? Not doing much of anything. So yesterday we talked about this little retest and reversal. It's just stuck there. And if it can break out, it's got room to start moving up into the void above. So the ideal pattern would be for it to just stay here today and have another day going sideways at this topping tail bar. It's not doing much of anything, just waiting, but buyers will be stepping in right above this high, looking for it to go up. Silver, nothing there yet. Another sideways chopping around. And as I look at this, as I open them up here, um, I see, it could be a little head and shoulders pattern. We'll see if it violates those lows, or anytime you see a head and shoulders pattern, you always put an alert near the upper part there to see if it does take off. Because the head and shoulders pattern is a distribution pattern. It's really a very minor one. Nonetheless, it's going sideways, and if it broke here, that would suggest lower. But above here, it's got room to go up. The oil's not doing anything. It's just consolidating its gain. A little whippy, but constructive chart as far as, bullish. Um, the Venezuela thing is, looking at the weekly chart, you can see the resistance area that it's dealing with. And so far, just as I said, consolidating, not doing much of anything. And let's see what this is doing, the retail ETF. So gapping down, not a big deal. Still at the top of the wide range bar. This is the retailing ETF trading range. Nothing to do there. Peek at financials. So what are they doing here? Oh, wow. Something going on a little bit with financials. It's still in the middle of that trading range. This has this, rounding bottom after this nasty drop. Now, that drop was on the Trump saying that he was going to, I don't know, limit credit cards to 10% interest versus what they get. So it brought a lot of those financials down. So you see, it's just in a trading range. So nothing there. Just looking for something of significance that might be moving. Yeah, brokers got killed. The insurance companies. Um, Semiconductors, beginning to form a trading range. They came down. So as this was coming down, the thoughts were, okay, we've had software falling at that time, and Bitcoin was falling, and we had that capitulation, and then the strongest sector began to fall, and that historically results in these sharp moves down, hitting that climactic level and a reversal. And so these came off of the low pretty well, but now it's getting into this resistance area. We'll have to see how that reacts, and I suggest some chop there, and does it consolidate, ready to go and make new all-time highs, or does it get a reversal back down? So we'll see what happens with that today. Euro was mentioned yesterday, and so that, from what we looked at it yesterday, it didn't do anything. But now we'll watch to see if this can form a 1, 1, 2, 3. So which would again lead us to today being some type of a consolidation day. Ideally, you can see all the whip. You can see it on the 65-minute, but a consolidation day then would lead us to a bias higher the next day. And on interest rates, where are interest rates? Are they doing anything? Still moving lower. Another whipsaw chart. There's lots of them lately. There's the big bottoming action that we were reviewing back there. It broke out, hit the resistance, no problem. There was the buy setup. It couldn't make higher highs. Now it's back down again. Another whippy, erratic. So interest rates moving down, markets like that, as long as they don't collapse. And this chart doesn't suggest they're going to collapse. more of just chopping back and forth. So another, let's just say neutral or benign chart. It doesn't really give us much of a bias or guidance. Other than that, we've got the equal weighted. I don't get too much price action pre-market, but um, yesterday I mentioned there are a lot of great looking charts like this, and there are many ugly charts like that where prices broke down, or like this one. We've had this little bounce after the nasty move, and I'm just seeing this is continuing to push up there toward yesterday's high, and we'll just see if they can get these beaten down ones a little bit higher, and then we'll see where we go from there in the next day or two. To you, Dan.
There was a ton of climbos also, which by definition, with the markets this strong, are relative weakness. But as traders, we don't care. We trade all kinds of compelling patterns. This is one I just saw. So this is not a swing, but look at the beautiful 15. I mean, these to me are the best day trades, end of day base with a void, with a bullish daily also. Now this one, I don't think it's a big target, but you might get $2 out of it. 99 to 101. Nothing wrong with that. Halliburton. Yeah, it's a 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's on my list in here somewhere. Put it on the other computer. Oxycodone. A/B test. I like Hal better. And, because this one had a big run here, continuation. It's at this bullish weekly near the prior highs on the monthly. AD. I read in the journal, this thing got killed yesterday. I read in the journal that the CFO quit, accounting irregularity concerns. And when you look at news items, that is the absolute worst news item is cooking the books or accounting irregularities. And when your CFO resigns or your big four CPA firm fires you or quits, whatever, because they disagree, that's a big red flag. PayPal over yesterday's high, another Climo. Axon, we're already in at an up alarm. That we use the term fluid, and I don't know why it's so difficult for some people. It's just look, it's just relatively equal highs, equal lows. It's a fluid move down. You don't have gaps, inside bars, red, green, red, green. This is what you want. And then you want a potent reversal, and we trade the bounce. So we bought that yesterday, and looks good. IoT, another one. Fluid. Look, fluid. 3, 4 bar turn. We're in this one from yesterday. Up alarm went off. We're in trail mode. But these are quality climbos. I don't think we're talking about this one. Now, this one's not as clean as those other two, but it was still tradable for a bounce. I think I gave target 210 to 215, and it's gapping up to the first target. Because just you see how this was an inside bar. That's a wide range bar. So there's differences. Every single pattern we teach, there's differences of qualities. Right, Robert, just compare this picture. Yeah, I just mentioned it. Look, you want the size of the bars. Well, the size doesn't have to be, but fluid. It's just straight down, as if the market did not close. It's just a straight fluid. What's the opposite of fluid? Choppy. This is fluid. It's not choppy, erratic. There you go, Stephen. It's not erratic with gaps and, as I said. But I'll show you more examples as I come across them. All right, Vic alarm. We bought that yesterday. It's a 1, 2, 3. And those look like all my on the Microsoft the heading up alarm. We have a put spread on this, but I also said it was a directional candidate yesterday. I guess I didn't pull the trigger. But that's another climb. And look, beautiful 15-minute chart. So we're in management mode on that. Let's go to earnings. That's old. Mindy. Where's my X's? Yeah, here we go. Earnings. Let's see, this was fluid. See, this was fluid with a 3-bar turn. So that was tradable, but for earnings. Now that could have been a day trade yesterday. Now gapping, that's a nasty gap, 585. I got no bias. Well, it's a nasty gap and a downtrend. Oh, talking about Microsoft, that alarm just went off to the upside. Let me reset it higher. 422. Upward, that's I call that a bearish gap, but possibly excessive. But we'll just have to come back. Hey, look at our Spiggy over here. That is a gap and snap candidate. It got pounded here with the IA getting into the legal field stuff because they S&P Global. I think that's the one. I don't. Maybe I'm mixing it up, but whatever. This got hammered on AI stuff. Has earnings trade, but you're down from 530 to 440, and now you're gapping down $60, 70, whatever. It's already rebounded here, $15. So that is a gap and snap setup, which means it's an extended gap and an already extended move. So it's a short-term exhaustion if we get a compelling intraday reversal. All right, Coke down, big old run. Let's see that's a fluid move up. I've been focusing on climbos, but that's a climactic sell setup. It's not exact, but the move started here at the 200. So that's a big old fluid move up, which has room to fall, and it's gapping down a little bit. So that is a call spread candidate. Oh, I jumped some. Let me go back up here. Upward. CRBG was on my bullish list. This is what we call a bear sandwich. It's a big, ugly red bar that is sandwiched between two big green bars. But now, I don't know what they said pre-market, turned bearish. When we were looking at earnings trades yesterday, this actually was my favorite one, of the bottoming pattern. Down a lot. new low reversal, 20 and 50 flattening out, and you got a huge void. But the puts weren't juicy enough for me to do. But now it's gapping to 109. Nothing to do for me. Gap's too big. But no, I don't see any prints, but it shows it gapping down $41. This is a bull kind of rectangle. Here's your flagpole. But that's a big gap. It could 30-minute low, could be maybe a call spread. ARC, nothing. P. There's another one. There's another one, gap and snap, like SPGI. That's another one. Let's put that in this middle chart. Med P. So I got two gap and snapper candidates. Gapping up $13. That's a bearish gap of support. We'll come back and see what it looks like. Hope we talk about Bravo Papa. Bearish gap, call spread idea. CBS, sell setup, gapping down to 74 and change. Well, it's gapping down too much for a swing, but if you can get a call spread over yesterday's high, Duke, utility, breakout failure, nothing. Look, and Marriott gapping all-time highs. Gapping up $10. Absolutely amazing. Like how well these hotels are doing, and Jets are doing well. Not the football team, the ETF. Look at Jets. And look at Royal Caribbean. Incredible. And I remember in COVID, this thing went down to like my recollection is like $25. And they were talking about bankruptcy. The whole sector, because their fleet was grounded. Spot 461. Too excessive for directional, but maybe put spread. Race, same big old gap here. Gap's too big. D-Dog 126, same possible credit spreads, but the gap's too big. 126. That's an ugly gap, but possibly it's whoa, look at bottom right, SPGI written though. You know, when you do gap and snappers, the bigger the gap, the better. Just getting that. Well, I'll tell you one reason, Trent, is they got some high interest rate loans. Because I don't think the government gave them money because they're not US companies, right? They're all foreign flagged for tax purposes. But I thought some of them might go out of business too. FISV, $60. This could turn into continuation short. That is ugly. Daily, weekly, monthly. DD. $48. We need a pullback. I might just have Bravo X-ray alarm go off. Let's see here. Here's another Climo. But notice how this one, it's extended with a void, yes, but it's not as fluid as those other ones. Because look, just go bar by bar, bar by bar. You see what I'm saying? So compare that to IoT. But my up alarm went off because I still had it as a watch for a put spread. Yep, you got looks great. Yep. Yep, looks great. So 1, 2, 3. Looks great. As you know, I'm in this RSP. You can add RSP, looks good. And our calf company looks good. Cash cows. PayPal alarm just triggered. And you're more aggressive at the open than I am. I usually wait at least 5 minutes, but it looks good. TTC, wow, we're still in trail mode on this thing. I'll just reset the alarm higher. How about 99? Q's coming in the hardest on the 5-minute chart. Google coming in. The other thing's holding up fine. Google's the only weak one on the 15. Mindy stopping out break even. I should have gone higher yesterday. Just killing it flat instead of messing with it. But ideally now it sells off for another, $5-8, and we'll do it again. Builder, small little ascending triangle here. It was a directional watch. I canceled it because of this mess over here, but maybe 30-minute high on builder. IoT up alarm, can move our stop now. How about under this little guy? 2628. We have a full lot on this actually. Maybe we sell. Let's sell a third right now. Yeah, we got over a $2 gain on a little climb. I'll take it. Our IGB up again. That was a nice climb up too. A big Axon, yeah, Axon alarm went off pre-market. Yeah, I'll just set a new alarm.